Since recently it has been commented all over the internet that Netflix and Hasbro have decided to cancel the reboot of the franchise, although the news actually says that Netflix is not going to continue and Hasbro is going to look for another platform. Basically, this is the summary of that news, although we can also call it a rumor since Hasbro hasn't officially communicated anything and Netflix hasn't either. This is why today we are going to talk about the possible secret that Hasbro and Netflix may have, since they have not mentioned anything official about this rumor, so there are many possibilities in this whole situation, and we are going to analyze it. The first thing we must say is that, if Hasbro and Netflix have not given an official news about the cancellation of the reboot, we must treat the news as something false since, even if it could be true, there is nothing official. Starting from this point, we can think that the reboot is still going on and Hasbro together with Netflix are still working on this project. We know that there are some things that make us think that this rumor about the cancellation of the reboot could be true since the IMDb page disappeared all the information about the new Power Rangers project which we could find in Jonathan Entwistle's information. In this page we could see some details about the new project, and even though there were not so many important things, at least we knew that everything was in development. Although this is a bit serious, the reality is that the deletion of this information from IMDb can also mean many things, and it is not that they just cancelled everything. For example, this could mean that they are going to change the direction they were taking with the project, and maybe now they are going to focus on another style, since in that information it said that the new series was going to be TV-14. It could also mean that Hasbro and Netflix want to keep everything under wraps and not give out any information for now. What we all already knew is that officially it had been announced that 2024 was going to be a total hiatus for the franchise, and this is what has been very complicated for us to understand. The sad reality is that perhaps they have stopped the franchise altogether and are working on absolutely nothing. Maybe this is why we have not had any official news and we only see the changes of licenses for product sales or video games. For now, the only trace that still remains about the reboot is that on the official website of Jenny Klein, who was going to be the showrunner of this reboot, is still on the information about the new Power Ranger series. In this information it appears that the new series is going to be or was going to be 60 minutes long each episode, and although the producer has not yet deleted that information from her website, we must also admit that making these changes is sometimes a bit slow if you are not a web designer. We must understand that most of the projects are kept secret in order to not harm the work they are doing, and that nothing is leaked. When some information or photos of the new project are leaked, as just happened with the photos of the new Superman project, sometimes this can affect the whole project, and I will explain the reason. When a painter starts a painting, he never allows people to see the painting before finishing it because they will not understand the process until they see the final result. This is worse when the viewers are not artists and do not understand about art, as what they may be looking at can confuse them. This leads them to think the work is crap, and when the artist finishes the painting, the viewers are not even excited to see it. They basically judge the work before they have seen the final result, and the impact that work can have is going to be less. This happens a lot of times with movies that have a lot of special effects, because when pictures of the actors wearing the costumes are leaked, we the viewers think that the costume looks horrible, but almost always this is going to have a final result after post-production. All of this can happen with a script as well, since if the story that the new reboot series is going to have is leaked, maybe many are not going to understand everything until they see the final result. In addition to this, scripts undergo changes while the project is being created, as sometimes new ideas arise or there are changes that are not the fault of the producers and are unavoidable. Maybe we are thinking that Hasbro and Netflix should show us something, but the reality is that maybe everything is still in development because they are looking to create something shocking. We have to remember that this reboot is something bigger that we all think, since it is like starting from scratch with a giant project. In fact, Marvel's projects take several years to develop, and they already have a company that is handling the whole process. However, despite the fact that Power Rangers has been in the making for over 30 years, the reality is that if they want to do a completely different style in the reboot, then all the previous experience is not going to do them any good. Remember that the previous experience with Power Rangers is with a children's series where the special effects are simple, the costumes are simple, the monsters already had a format, and the story was also simple so that it was easy to understand. If they want to do a different reboot, then they must change absolutely everything, and this means that all that previous experience is useless, as everything would be very different. For example, the creators of the previous costumes might not have the necessary experience to create more impactful costumes for a more serious series. The creators of the special effects might not have the necessary knowledge to create bigger effects, and the writers might not have the necessary experience or knowledge to create a much deeper script. These are obviously simple assumptions, since we can't think that all these creators don't have the capacity to achieve something bigger, but if we base it on what they normally do, then we must think that maybe they don't have the knowledge to create something more important. The simplest example I can give you is that maybe there are people who can build a wall, and maybe they have been building walls for 30 years, but this does not mean that they can build a house. The reboot is going to be like building $1 million house, a giant mansion full of luxuries that needs a lot of technology to function impressively. In order to build a house of this magnitude, you can't hire a person who only knows how to build walls. You have to look for people with more knowledge who know how to build mansions. This means that in order to create a reboot like this, you may need to look for better actors, better producers, better special effects companies, and better writers. All of this is going to mean a huge investment of money, a huge investment of time, and a lot of negotiations, as the Power Rangers franchise has never had to build anything as big as this. This is why it is very likely that Hasbro and Netflix may be working very secretly, but at the same time very slowly, looking for all those people needed to be able to create something that will be awesome. You have to remember that they had previously tried to create a reboot of the franchise with the 2017 movie, and although this project has some very good things, the reality is that it had some mistakes that did not allow it to have the necessary success to continue with a sequel. An example of this could have been the script, as the writer does not understand the Power Rangers franchise well, does not understand anything about the essence, and does not understand anything about the style that this universe has always had. For you to understand this a little better, just look at all the costumes that different artists have created, and there we can notice that these artists understand the essence of the franchise much better. Let's hope that Hasbro and Netflix are still working and that they can understand the whole essence of the franchise so that they can give us an awesome final product. If you would still like to see the reboot on Netflix, like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers details.